So turn the lights off, put your headphones on, and try to relax while listening. And before we begin, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment which story scared you the most. Now, let's begin. The first story is by Andy. When I was younger, staying home alone was like my dream. Every time my family wanted to go somewhere, I always begged to stay home by myself. I thought it made me feel older or something. But after what happened that night, I never wanted to be alone in that house again. This happened in 2016 when I was 14. My uncle was having some family dinner thing at his house, and everybody was going. My mom asked me like 3 times if I wanted to come, but I keep saying no. I just wanted the whole house to myself. When they finally left, I locked the front door, grabbed snacks from the kitchen, and turned the TV on loud. I was watching YouTube videos and playing music while scrolling through my phone. Everything felt normal at first, you know. Outside it was raining a little and the house kept making those random crack sounds old houses makes. But I was used to that stuff. After maybe an hour, the TV suddenly froze. The music stopped right in the middle of the song. I thought the Wi-Fi died or something. But then the screen turned black. Not fully black though. There was this weird static moving around, and slowly those dark shapes started showing up on the screen. At first I thought it was some creepy ad or maybe a hack channel, but the longer I looked at it, the worse it got. There were people, or at least things shaped like people. Tall black figures just standing there. I remember getting this horrible feeling in my stomach, like something was wrong, really wrong. Then I started hearing voices, very quiet at first. It sounded like whispering. I turned around because I thought maybe somebody left the window open outside, but the voices were coming from the TV. I swear on my life they were coming from TV. It sounded like a bunch of people praying at the same time, but in some language I never heard before. The voices kept getting louder each time. Then one of the figures on the screen moved closer. I froze, to be honest, when I saw that. Its face was all dark except for those pale eyes, and I swear it looked directly at me through the TV. Not at the camera, at me. I grabbed the remote and turned the TV off. Nothing happened. I unplugged it from the wall and the screen stayed on. That's when I started panicking. The whispering turned into screaming for like 1 second and the screen flashed white. Then all the figures disappeared except one, standing closer than before. Its mouth was shaped way too wide, almost ripped open. And then I heard this deep voice come from the TV. It called my name, Andy. I dropped the remote instantly. Nobody should have known I was home alone. I backed away from the TV slowly, and the thing on the screen started smiling. Then footsteps started upstairs. Heavy footsteps. Like boats walking slowly across the hallway. I remember my whole body going cold because I knew nobody else was supposed to be there. The footsteps stopped right above me. Silence. Then 3 loud bangs hit the ceiling over my head. Boom, boom, boom. I ran. I sprinted forward the stairs because my phone was in my room upstairs. The second I got near the staircase, I heard something moving behind me. Not footsteps, more like something dragging itself fast across the floor. I didn't look back. I couldn't. But I felt it getting closer. People always talk about feeling someone watching them. But this felt different. It felt heavy. Like the air itself was chasing me. I ran upstairs 2 steps at a time and slammed my bedroom door shut. The second I locked it, the whispering started again. This time right outside my room. Not from the TV anymore, from the hallway. I was crying at this point, trying to call my mom. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped my phone. While the phone rang, I heard scratching on my door, slow scratching, like nails dragging across wood. Then the voice whispered again, "Andy," right outside the door. My mom finally answered, and I was yelling so hard she could barely understand me. I told her to come home now. Then the scratching stopped. Everything went quiet. Too quiet. I stayed there hiding in the corner of my room until my parents came back. When they got home, my dad checked the entire house. Nothing was there. The TV was unplugged, everything looked normal. But my bedroom door had long scratching marks on it. My dad said I probably made them myself somehow. Nobody believed me. Not my parents, not my friends, nobody. But after that night I started hearing weird noises in the house, even when everybody was home. Sometimes the TV would randomly turn on by itself in the middle of the night. And once, about a year later, the screen turned black for a second, and I saw the same figure standing there, smiling at me again. The second story is by Emma. She sent this to me last night. This happened to me around 2 years ago, and I still can't explain it. My boyfriend had this small apartment downtown. Nothing fancy, just 1 bedroom, a tiny kitchen, and this long dark hallway that makes everything look creepy at night. One weekend he had to leave town for work, but I stayed at his apartment because it was closer to my college. I honestly liked being there alone at first. It felt peaceful. That night I ordered food, watched Netflix, and stayed up late doing homework on my laptop while it rained outside. Around 1 a.m. my laptop started making this weird didn't sound normal. It sounded almost like breathing, slow breathing. I muted my move and listened to it carefully. The sound stopped. I laughed at myself because I thought I was just tired and paranoid. Then it started again, closer this time somehow, like somebody breathing right next to the microphone. I shut the laptop hallway and these noises instantly stopped again. That should have been enough for me to go to the sleep, but instead I opened it back up. The second the screen lit up, a strange audio file opened by itself. I know for a fact I never clicked anything. The file had no name, just random symbols. Before I could even react, the audio started playing. At first it was static, then whispering. Very quiet whispering. I couldn't understand most of it, but it sounded like a woman crying while trying to talk. I got chills immediately. I tried closing the file, but my laptop froze completely. Then the whispering suddenly got louder, and I heard this, "Emma." I swear my blood froze. Nobody should have been there. Nobody. I slammed the laptop shut so hard I almost broke it. The apartment went completely silent. No rain, no TV, nothing. Then from somewhere down the hallway I heard a loud crack, like somebody slowly stepping on the wooden floor. I started toward the hallway entrance from the couch. It was completely dark. I told myself it was probably the neighbors or the building settling or literally anything else. Then another step happened, closer this time. I grabbed my phone and turned the flashlights on. The hallway was empty, but I noticed something weird. The bedroom door at the end of the hallway was open. I knew it had been closer earlier. I was too scared to even move. I just kept staring at the dark crack on the doorway. Then my laptop turned back on by itself, I swear. The screen lit up the whole living room, and that breathing sound came back, louder than before. I slowly turned around toward the laptop. The audio file was playing again, but this time there was video too. Dark, blurry footage from what looked like a security camera. At first, I couldn't tell what I was looking at. Then I realized it was my boyfriend's apartment, the exact apartment I was sitting in. I could see the living room, the couch, the kitchen, everything. The camera angle looked like it was from the top corner of the room. My stomach dropped because sitting on the couch in the video was me watching the laptop. I couldn't breathe. The video was live. I stared at the screen trying to process what I was seeing. Then in the video something moved behind me in the hallway. Tall, dark, human-shaped. I spun around instantly, nothing there. When I looked back at the laptop screen, the figure was closer now, standing halfway down the hallway. I still couldn't see its face, The whispering turned into this horrible crackling noise through the sparks, through the speakers. Then the figure in the video tilted its head slowly toward the camera and smiled, not normal smiling. Its mouth scratched way too wide. I started crying immediately. I grabbed my phone and called my boyfriend while backing toward the apartment door. He answered confused and I kept telling him somebody was inside. Then he got quiet, really, really, really quiet, and asked me one question. Emma, did you open my old laptop? I looked at the computer sitting on the table, then he told me. He told me something I'll never forget. The laptop I was using belonged to the guy who lived in that apartment before him. The guy disappeared. Nobody ever found him. My boyfriend kept the laptop because the landlord never came for it. He told me the laptop would sometimes randomly turn on during the night, but he thought it was just broken. While he was talking, I looked back at the screen one last time. The figure in the video was gone from the hallway. Then a hand slowly reached over my shoulders from behind me, on the screen, right behind where I was standing. I ran out of that apartment barefoot and waited outside until sunrise. I never stayed there alone again. And a few months later, my boyfriend threw the laptop away. At least that's what he told me. But sometimes late at night, I still get emails from an address with no name attached, no subject, no text, just the audio file. And I never open it. And I never would open it. The third story is by David. And this is a very, very, very scary one. This happens when I was 16. My parents went out to dinner with some friends and told me they'd be home before midnight. I was happy about it because I finally had the house to myself. I was downstairs playing video games, eating junk food, just enjoying the quiet. Everything was normal until somebody knocked on the front door. Not a normal knock either. 3 slowly knocks. Very, very hard. I looked at the clock. 11:47 p.m. Right away I got this weird feeling because nobody ever came over that late. I walked to the window next to the door and moved the curtain just a little bit. There was a man standing outside. Tall, skinny, wearing this dark jacket with a half hood up even though it was raining. I couldn't really see his face because the porch light barely worked. At first I thought maybe he had the wrong house. Then he knocked again. 3 slowly knocks. Boom, boom, boom. I didn't open the door. I just yelled through it, asking what he wanted. For a few seconds he didn't answer. Then in this calm voice he said, "Is Rachel here?" I told him nobody named Rachel lived there. He stayed completely still. Then he slowly said, "She told me to meet here." Something about the way he talked felt wrong. Like emotionless, almost rehearsed. I told him again he had the wrong house. Then he asked, can you check? At this point, I was already uncomfortable, but I didn't know why. I actually turned around for a second like I was going to check. That's when I noticed something. The hallway behind me was completely dark. And for some reason, the house suddenly felt different, too quiet. I turned back to the door and said louder this time, "There is nobody here." The man didn't move, didn't leave, didn't even react. He just stood there standing at the door. Then, after maybe 10 seconds, he asked, "Are you alone?" My stomach dropped. I didn't answer. Then he slowly stepped closer to the door until I heard his boots right outside it. And in this low voice he said, "She's upstairs." I swear every hair on my body stood up, because I never told him the house had on upstairs. Away from the door immediately. Then I heard something that made my chest go cold. Footsteps upstairs. Slow footsteps walking across the hallway above me. I froze completely. The man outside started lightly tapping on the door now. Not knocking, tapping, like he was being patient. I grabbed my phone and called my dad, whispering so quietly he could barely hear me. While I was talking to him, the footsteps upstairs stopped. Then my bedroom door upstairs slammed shut. Loud. My dad told me to lock myself in the bathroom and call the police. As I started backing away from the front door, the man suddenly laughed, very quiet. Then he said, "She knows I'm here." I ran toward the kitchen to grab something to defend myself with, and that's when I heard another sound upstairs. Dragging, like something heavy being pulled across the floor. I was shaking so bad I almost dropped my phone. Then I heard footsteps coming down the stairs, slow, one step at a time. The man outside the front door started whispering something I couldn't understand, almost like he was talking to whatever was upstairs. The footsteps kept getting closer, step, step, step. I grabbed a knife from the kitchen and started at the staircase. Nobody was there, but I could hear them coming down. Then suddenly the tapping on the front door stopped. Silence, completely silence. A few seconds later, my porch light turned off. I looked through the window and the man was gone, but the footsteps upstairs immediately stopped too. Like whatever was inside left with him. The police came about 15 minutes later and searched the whole house. Nothing was there. No broken windows, no signs, nobody. But one officer found something upstairs in my parents' room. Wet, muddy footprints leading from the hallway to my bedroom door. I didn't sleep in that house for weeks after that. The scariest part happened later though. A few days after everything happened, my mom was walking to one of our neighbors about it. That's when the neighbors went pale and asked, "Wait, did he ask for Rachel?" My mom said yes. The neighbors told us a woman named Rachel used to live in our house years ago, and she disappeared. Nobody ever found out what happened to her, but according to the neighbor, right before she vanished, she kept telling people that a man will came to her door at night asking to be let in. Thank you guys for listening to these stories. I hope you had a very scary night. Don't forget to like, subscribe. More scary stories are up